I swear to God, I'll never forget the way that roast chicken smelled. It was a Sunday, one of those rare days when everything felt like it might actually be okay. My wife, Stephanie, sat next to me at the table, pouring wine like she wasn't hiding anything, chatting with my mom about some new furniture catalog, smiling like a FNG angel in disguise. My dad was mid-rant about how the Packers needed to get their damn heads out of their asses this season, and I was politely nodding along, trying not to laugh. That was the last moment my world made sense. Then my phone buzzed. I pulled it out from my pocket like I always do when I need a break from the dinner talk. Just one message. No contacts saved. Get up and leave. Now, don't say anything to your wife. I stared at it. The room spun for a second. My fork froze midair. I could hear the laughter around the table, Stephanie's voice chiming like silverware, all pleasant and practiced. I looked at her. Something deep inside me tightened. I'd seen it before. That smug confidence in her face. Too perfect. Too smooth. Like someone had carved her out of ice. I don't know why I listened, but I did. I stood up, mumbled something about needing to take a call, and walked out the front door without grabbing my jacket. I didn't even tell my mom goodbye. 3 minutes later, I was sitting in my car, engine idling, my mind sprinting through 1,000 possibilities. That's when the second message hit. You have about 2 minutes before the cops show up. Go to 488 Lawson Street. Now, you'll want to see it yourself. I should have deleted it. I should have driven back, hugged Stephanie, and convinced myself it was spam. But instead, I listened, because something inside me, the same thing that made me stand up, was already breaking open. I drove. The whole way there, my hands trembled against the steering wheel. I couldn't even think. The GPS said 12 minutes. 12 long minutes of rerunning our last year together. The weird late nights. Her sudden obsession with book club. The lingerie I found in her gym bag that didn't match anything I'd ever seen on her. The way she had started locking her phone when she never used to. Maybe I'd known. Somewhere deep down. Maybe this was just the moment I stopped lying to myself. The house was a small brick rental on the edge of town. 488 Lawson. No lights on. No car in the driveway. But the front door was slightly open. No sign of anyone. I stepped inside. And I saw them. Stephanie, my wife of 7 years, half naked on a sofa with Rick Barnes, my old college roommate, the guy I'd invited to our wedding, the same guy I trusted enough to crash at our place last Christmas. Their clothes were scattered like trash. Her laugh, her real laugh, not the fake polite one she used around my family, bounced off the walls like a hammer to my chest. She was straddling him, wine in hand, singing some god-awful 2000s R&B track playing on her phone. It was the ugliest painting I'd ever seen. And it was real. She didn't see me at first. But Rick did. His face turned pale like he'd seen a ghost. He tried to sit up, stammering something. Pulling at a blanket like that would undo what I'd just seen. But Stephanie, my Stephanie, looked at me dead in the eye, and I swear, she smirked, like I was a bug on her windshield. You were supposed to be at dinner till 9, she said. No shame. No apology. Just annoyance. That's when the sirens lit up the room in red and blew through the blinds. Police cars. At least 3. In my days, I barely moved as the front door burst open and 2 officers stormed in. Mr. Tyler? You're going to need to come with us. I blinked. What? Stephanie shot up, wrapping a blanket around her like she was the victim here. What the hell is going on? The cop looked at me, confused. We got a call. Domestic disturbance. Neighbors heard screaming. You were reported. I looked from the cops to Stephanie to Rick. No one said a word. The lies hung so thick in the air you could choke on them. I wasn't screaming, but I wanted to. That was how it started. Not with a fight. Not with a confession. But with a quiet dinner and a text from a stranger. And now my marriage was dead. My best friend was the killer. And I was about to find out just how deep betrayal can cut that I didn't sleep that night. Hell, I barely blinked. After the police realized there was no actual domestic disturbance, they let me go without much more than a confused shrug. Turns out one of the neighbors had heard yelling, Probably Rick trying to pull up his pants while I stood there like a statue watching my wife. My wife. Look at me like I was the one who ruined her evening. The drive home was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that squeezes your chest like a vice. Stephanie didn't come home that night. I didn't ask where she went. I sat in the dark in our living room, replaying the scene over and over. Her smug face. Rick's stunned silence. The cops asking me questions I didn't know how to answer. But what I couldn't shake was the first text. Get up and leave. Now, don't say anything to your wife. Someone had warned me. At first, I thought it might have been a sick prank or some twisted setup. But the timing was too perfect. Someone knew. Someone cared enough or hated her enough to let me in on the truth. I stared at the number. No contact, just digits. My fingers hovered over the keypad more than once. I almost replied, but instead I called Josh. Josh was the only guy I trusted anymore. Old work buddy. The kind who knows when to talk and when to just hand you a beer and let you fall apart quietly. He picked up on the first ring. Yo, what's up, man? You good? No, I said. She's cheating on me. Silence. Then, Steph. Yeah, with Rick. Of all people. Another pause. Jesus Christ. I told him everything. The dinner. The text. The house. The cops. Every word tasted like poison. But I needed to say it out loud to believe it was real. You think she sent the cops to mess with you? Josh asked. I hadn't thought of that. But it felt right. A distraction. A move straight out of Stephanie's cold little playbook. She was always 3 steps ahead. Always in control. She didn't even flinch, I said. She smirked, man, like she was proud of it. Josh cursed under his breath. Look, I know you're hurt, but you gotta get smart about this. Lawyer up. Check her phone records. Find out who sent that message. That last part stuck with me. So I did what any broken man with nothing to lose would do. I grabbed her spare phone. Yeah, I'd seen it before, tucked away in her bag, and I cracked the code. For digits. Took me 10 tries. The second I got in, the truth exploded in front of me. Messages with Rick going back months. Photos. Voice notes. The kind of nasty flirtatious garbage you see in sleazy movies. She called him Daddy Rick. I swear to God, I almost vomited. But that wasn't the worst part. There was another number she'd been texting frequently. No name saved. Just a series of messages like, he's starting to suspect. Keep him distracted. I think he's getting close. And then I saw it. The same number that texted me during dinner. That's when it hit me. Someone in her life, one of her own snakes, had betrayed her. Whoever it was, they weren't on my side. Not fully. But they wanted her exposed. And that gave me the first flicker of power I'd felt in days. Stephanie came home the next morning around 6:30 a.m., looking like a raccoon dragged through wine and lies. No apology. No explanation. Just walked straight to the bathroom like it was any other Monday. I followed her to the door. You enjoying your little vacation with Rick? I asked calmly. She looked at me. Not guilty. Just irritated. Don't start. That was all she said. Not, I'm sorry. Not, let me explain. Just don't start. She had no clue what I'd seen on her phone. But she would. She was about to find out I wasn't the same man who walked out of that dinner. I was done being polite. I didn't sleep the next night either. Couldn't. Not with Stephanie lying next to me like nothing happened, breathing slow and even like she wasn't a talking betrayal. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her riding Rick like a goddamn amusement park ride, laughing like she hadn't worn my ring for 7 years. But I waited. I needed her to think I was still stunned, confused, maybe even stupid, because she was going to feel every ounce of what I felt soon. That morning, while she was in the shower, I made my move. I took screenshots of everything on her burner phone. The texts with Rick, the photos, the mystery number, even the voicemails where she mocked me to her friends, calling me boring, clueless, saying I was too soft to ever do anything about it. Soft? That part stayed with me. I wasn't soft. I was patient. And now I had proof. When she came downstairs, wrapped in that fake silk robe she loved to wear when she wanted to look casual but seductive. I had already laid out her phone, the printed screenshots, and a hot cup of coffee across the dining table. She froze. "What's this?" she asked, eyes narrowing. "You tell me," I said, pointing to the photos. "That look like a friendly book club to you?" Her lip twitched, and for the first time since this whole mess began, I saw it. Panic. Not guilt. Not shame. Fear. Like her little house of lies was finally catching fire. "This is low, Tyler. Going through my stuff? You serious right now? You cheated on me, Steph. For months. With my friend. And I'm the problem." She rolled her eyes and scoffed, as if this whole thing was just a mild inconvenience before her Pilates class. "Oh, please. Like you were some saint. You haven't touched me in months. What did you think was going to happen?" I stood up, fists clenched at my sides. "That's your excuse? That I didn't give you enough attention, so you screwed Rick? In my town? In a house I pay for? You think I need your money?" She shot back. "I could have left any time. Then why didn't you?" Her voice dropped low, bitter like acid. "Because I liked having you around. You were safe. Predictable. You made things easy." I stared at her. That was it. Not love. Not respect. I was convenient. "You're a damn sociopath," I said, my voice trembling. "I gave you everything, and you sat there at dinner with my mother, knowing damn well you were planning to crawl back into bed with him." Stephanie didn't deny it. She just crossed her arms and leaned back against the counter, calm like a rattlesnake in the sun. "What now?" she said. "You going to cry? Throw my clothes out? Be a cliché?" "No," I said. "I already emailed everything to my lawyer, including the messages, the pictures. You'll be served by the end of the week." That got her. Her smirk twitched. "You wouldn't dare. Watch me." I started walking toward the door. Her voice followed me, sharp and venomous. "You think anyone's going to feel sorry for you? You were boring. You stopped trying. Rick knows how to make me feel alive." I paused. "Then go live with him," I said without turning around. "But don't come crawling back when he gets tired of the mess he just inherited." I left her standing there. No yelling. No drama. Just silence. Because sometimes silence says more than any scream ever could. The weirdest thing about betrayal is how normal everything looks after. The house didn't change. The furniture stayed the same. The pictures on the wall, me and Stephanie at Niagara Falls, our wedding day, the New Year's party 2 years ago, they were all still there, mocking me silently. It was like the universe hadn't noticed that my life got blown to hell. Like it expected me to just get up, shave, and go to work like nothing happened. But I couldn't do that. Not anymore. Stephanie was gone when I got back that night. No note. No call. Just a half-empty closet and the faint smell of her overpriced perfume still clinging to the hallway. Good riddance. I poured a drink, bourbon, the expensive stuff I'd been saving for a special occasion. Turns out this counted. I sipped it slow, the burn settling into my chest like the first moment of peace I'd felt in weeks. Then I got a call. Unknown number. At first I thought it was her, maybe trying to beg, or threaten, or twist the story again. But when I picked up, it wasn't her voice. "Tyler." It was a woman, soft-spoken, nervous. "Who is this?" Pause. "My name's Amber. Well, I guess you could say I'm the reason you got that text at dinner." I stood up. "You sent it?" "Not exactly, but I told someone who did." I sat down, suddenly ice-cold sober. Amber explained everything. She was Rick's ex. They dated before Stephanie ever met him, on and off for years. Toxic stuff, from the sound of it. She knew Rick had started seeing someone married again, but he'd never told her who. She found out by accident. Rick left his phone open one night while drunk at a bar, and she saw Stephanie's name. And the pictures. God, the pictures. "I knew she was married," Amber said. "I recognized her. From Facebook. I didn't know you personally, but I couldn't just watch it happen. So she sent the warning. Through a mutual friend. The mystery number. She's not just cheating," Amber continued. "She's dangerous, Tyler. She manipulates people. Rick's lost 2 jobs this year. She convinced him you were abusive, said she was scared of you. That's how she keeps him hooked, playing the victim. I felt the blood drain from my face. That's why the cops showed up. That's why Rick looked like a deer in headlights. Stephanie planned it all. She wanted me gone, maybe even arrested, so she could play house with my so-called best friend. It wasn't just betrayal. It was premeditated. Why are you helping me? I asked. Amber hesitated. Because I was her once. The woman who believed Rick's lies. Who let herself be used. I see now how people like Stephanie operate. They don't stop until they've ruined everyone around them. I didn't know what to say. My world had already cracked. But now it was crumbling piece by piece. Amber sent me more proof. Screenshots. Voice recordings. Even a clip of Rick and Stephanie talking about how to handle me if I got suspicious. She laughed in it. Said I'd probably fold like a sad little puppy. That's when the anger hit again. Not the wild, irrational kind, but sharp, focused rage. The kind that makes you act. I called my lawyer that night and told him everything. We filed the divorce first thing the next morning. No negotiations. No compromise. Just war. And I made another decision. If Stephanie wanted to play games, twist the truth, weaponize pity, rewrite history, I'd make sure everyone saw who she really was. No more silence. No more giving her the benefit of the doubt. She wanted chaos. She just picked the wrong man to start a fire with. Reputation is a funny thing. When you're married, people tend to see you as a unit, a Mr. and Mrs. shaped package. And when one half of that image gets exposed, the whole thing burns. I wasn't just going to let her light the match and walk away. If Stephanie wanted to play dirty, I was going to show her I knew how to fight cleaner, but harder. First move? Truth. I didn't scream on social media. I didn't throw a tantrum online like some heartbroken teenager. I just posted one thing to Facebook, under a photo of me and Stephanie from our anniversary last year. Smiling, kissing in front of the lake, the image of a perfect marriage. Caption. Funny what hides behind a smile. Found out my wife of 7 years has been cheating on me with my best friend. Got the receipts. She knows what she did. Divorce in progress. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. No names. No slurs. Just a calm knife right between the ribs of her fake life. I went to work the next day and kept my head down. But the whispers had already started. Her friends had seen the post. People at her yoga studio. Even her mother texted me a long, awkward message about being sorry for what happened and Stephanie not being herself lately. Not being herself? Please, that was her. They were just finally seeing it. By Wednesday, I started getting calls. A few mutual friends. One even had the audacity to say, "You sure you didn't push her into this, man? Women don't cheat unless something's missing." Yeah. Something was missing, all right. Character. The best part? Rick got fired. Turns out his company didn't love the idea of him getting caught in a scandal involving a married woman during business hours, in a house paid for by someone else. Apparently, a neighbor had taken photos of them arriving together. Midday, multiple times, and one of those photos ended up on his HR's desk. Stephanie was spiraling too. She messaged me the night after the Facebook post. Stephanie, real mature, posting private stuff like that online. You look pathetic. I didn't reply. A minute later, another message. Stephanie, you're really trying to ruin me, huh? Over a mistake. A mistake? No. A mistake is forgetting a birthday. Not blowing up a marriage behind someone's back for almost a year. Stephanie, fine. Be a child. Just remember, you're not innocent either. That one made me laugh. She was grasping, trying to flip the narrative like always. But this time I had too much truth in my corner. And people were beginning to see her for what she really was. A manipulator dressed up in yoga pants and fake innocence. But here's the part that caught me off guard. Amber reached out again. She told me that after my post went up, Stephanie started messaging Rick's exes, trying to dig for dirt on me, spreading lies, saying I was abusive, that I controlled her. Even tried to suggest I was the one cheating first. Classic projection. Amber shut it down. Hard. She's unraveling, Amber said. And trust me, when women like her start to lose control, they get reckless. Watch your back. I already was. I changed all my passwords, alerted my bank, talked to my HR at work. I wasn't giving Stephanie a single crack to crawl through. This wasn't just heartbreak anymore, it was warfare. And yet, somewhere deep down, there was still this dumb, stubborn ache. Not for her, but for the version of her I thought I had. The life I thought we were building. That ache hit me hardest at night, when the house got too quiet, and I could still smell her shampoo in the damn pillows. But even through that pain, I stayed focused. Because revenge isn't always loud. Sometimes it's just letting people destroy themselves, while you stand clear and let the truth do the rest. I didn't expect to see her again so soon. A week after the Facebook post, just as I'd started to breathe again, she showed up, uninvited, on my doorstep, wearing that same smug expression I once mistook for charm. She had a duffel bag over her shoulder and sunglasses perched on her head like she was returning from some glamorous vacation instead of a home-wrecking tour. "What do you want?" I asked, holding the door halfway open, body blocking her entrance. "I just want to talk," she said, like we were civil adults and not two people standing in the smoldering wreckage of a marriage. "Talk?" I raised an eyebrow. "Now you want to talk?" She looked around the porch like someone might be watching. For the first time, she seemed nervous. "I know things got messy," she started, brushing past me and walking into the living room without being invited. Like she still lived there. Like she still owned pieces of me. "Still treating this place like it's yours?" I said sharply. "It is mine," she snapped. "Half of it, anyway." "Not for long." She scoffed, tossed her bag on the couch, and turned toward me with arms crossed. "Look, I don't want this to get uglier than it already has." "Oh, so now you care about things getting ugly?" I said, laughing bitterly. "You didn't care when you were stripping down for Rick in someone else's house." "Don't be dramatic." "Dramatic? Stephanie, you weaponized the police. You tried to get me arrested so you could move in with my so-called best friend. And now you want to talk?" She didn't blink. No apology. Just her usual cold composure, cracking slightly at the corners. "I came to offer a deal." I stared at her. "A deal? I'll agree to sign the divorce papers, quick and clean. No claims on the house. No spousal support. But I want you to delete the post. Take it down. Publicly." There it was. It wasn't guilt that brought her here. It was damage control. That post had started to burn bridges she thought would always be there. And she knew it. "So let me get this straight," I said. "You cheat, lie, manipulate me for months, drag me into a public disaster. And now that the consequences are finally catching up to you, you want to play diplomat? Tyler, come on." "No." She blinked. "What?" "No deal. You made your choices. Now live with them." Her face twisted for the first time. The polished mask cracked. "I will ruin you," she hissed. "I'll go to court. I'll make sure your name gets dragged through the mud. I'll say whatever I have to." I laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was so damn expected. "You already tried that," I said. "Didn't work. And here's the difference between you and me, Stephanie. I don't have to lie to make you look bad. I just have to tell the truth." Her lip curled, and for a split second I saw the real her. The one behind the pretty Instagram posts and fake innocence. Bitter, power-hungry, and cornered. "Get out," I said. "Excuse me?" I said get out. "You don't live here anymore. And next time you step foot on this property without my permission, I'll have the police escort you out." She stood frozen for a second, as if trying to decide whether to slap me or spit. Then she grabbed her bag and stormed past me. But just before stepping out, she turned back. "You think this is over?" she said. "It's not." I smiled, calm as hell. "Oh, it is. You just don't realize it yet." Then I shut the door. And this time I locked it. I thought the hardest part would be the betrayal. It wasn't. It was what came after, the silence. The stretch of days where your body wakes up expecting someone next to you, and the bed just stays cold. Where you pour 2 cups of coffee without thinking, then stare at the second one like it's a ghost. Stephanie was finally out of my life, legally and physically. The divorce papers were served 2 days after our last conversation, if you could even call it that. She didn't fight it. She didn't show up to contest anything. Just signed and vanished back into whatever pit she'd crawled out of with Rick. Funny how quiet the world got once the drama stopped. But quiet doesn't mean peace. Not right away. I still caught myself checking the door every night, half expecting her to burst in with another ultimatum. I still replayed our fights in my head, over and over, trying to find the exact second I lost her, or maybe just finally saw her. And yeah, there were nights when I'd sit in the dark, bourbon in hand, wondering how I could have missed all the signs. Wondering if maybe I wanted to miss them, because facing the truth would have meant facing the fact that I was living a lie. But pain's a funny teacher, brutal but honest. And slowly, very slowly, I started pulling my life back together. The first thing I did was tear the house apart. Every photo of her, gone. Every note she'd ever written, burned. I repainted the bedroom walls, threw out the sheets, even replaced the couch where we used to watch movies every Friday night. It was less about erasing her and more about reclaiming the space, making it mine again. I saw Josh more. We grabbed beers, talked about anything but her. He made sure I didn't spiral too far. He was the one who convinced me to start going back to the gym. Not to impress anyone, but just to get the weight off my chest. Amber and I kept in touch too. I wasn't looking for anything romantic. God knows I wasn't ready. But she understood in a way nobody else did. Sometimes we'd just talk at 2 a.m., both trying to make sense of the damage Rick and Stephanie left behind. She was blunt, funny, surprisingly grounded. For two people who'd been dragged through the same mud, we somehow found a way to laugh about it. You realize, she said one night, we basically survived a two-person cult. She wasn't wrong. Stephanie and Rick weren't just toxic, they fed off other people. They needed an audience to validate their chaos. And now they didn't have one. As much as I hated what happened, there was something freeing in knowing I'd walked away, that I chose to walk, instead of begging or chasing. It gave me something I hadn't felt in months: control. The final shred of healing came when I got a call from one of Stephanie's old friends, a woman named Kelsey, who had distanced herself after everything blew up. She told me Stephanie had tried to spin the story, said I was emotionally abusive, that I neglected her, that she just wanted to feel alive again. But honestly, Kelsey said, we've all seen who she really is now. You're not the one we're avoiding. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that. It didn't erase the pain, but it reminded me that the truth had a way of cutting through the lies, even if it took time. Letting go didn't happen all at once. Came piece by piece, in quiet mornings, in clean sheets, in nights without yelling, in moments when I laughed again and didn't feel guilty. Stephanie was a storm, but storms pass, and I'd survived the wreckage. They say pain changes you. That's not a metaphor, it's fact. After Stephanie, I didn't just walk away from a broken marriage. I walked away from the version of myself that tolerated it. The version that mistook silence for peace. That believed love could fix anything, even someone like her. Here's what I learned. Lesson 1: trust your gut. People like Stephanie don't lie once. They lie consistently with precision. They craft entire identities around deception. Looking back, the signs weren't subtle. The locked phone, the sudden late nights, the emotional distance, the defensiveness anytime I asked simple questions. I saw it all, I just didn't want to see it. Because when you love someone, you build excuses faster than they build lies. But no more. Now I pay attention. Not out of paranoia, but awareness. I've learned the difference between a partner and a parasite. One supports you, the other drains you while smiling in your face. Lesson 2. You can't save people who don't want to be saved. Stephanie didn't want help. She wanted control. And for years, I gave it to her, thinking I was being understanding, thinking love meant sacrifice. But the truth is, love without boundaries isn't love. It's surrender. And I surrendered too much. I thought I was being strong by staying. I wasn't. Strength is knowing when to leave. Lesson 3. Loyalty means nothing to the disloyal. Rick, my so-called best friend, The guy I trusted with secrets, beers, and Saturday games. If you had told me a year ago that he'd end up in bed with my wife, I would have laughed in your face. But betrayal often wears a friendly mask. The worst part? He never even apologized. Not once. Didn't text. Didn't call. Just disappeared into the background of his own cowardice. I don't know where he is now, and I don't care. People like Rick eventually ruin every room they walk into. Lesson 4. Healing isn't a straight line. Some days, I still catch myself flinching at the thought of commitment. I wonder if I'll ever trust someone again. But I don't hate love. I hate what she did in its name. Healing hasn't been clean. It's been messy, full of false starts and hard truths. But I'm not broken. I'm rebuilding. Stronger, sharper, smarter. Lesson 5. Tell the truth even when it hurts. I could have buried everything. Hidden the scandal, made excuses to save face. But the day I exposed the truth, I felt something I hadn't in years. Freedom. Truth is brutal, yes, but it's honest. And honest things grow. Lies just rot from the inside. Now, I've moved out of the old house. Sold it. Got a new place across town. Smaller. Simpler. Just mine. I've started running again. Lost the weight I didn't realize I was carrying. Not just physically, emotionally. I even took up woodworking, something I used to do with my grandfather. There's something powerful in building something with your hands, especially after watching your life fall apart at the seams. Ember, we still talk here and there. There's no pressure, no illusions, just understanding. A quiet connection forged in fire. And for now, that's enough. So if you're reading this, wondering if you should leave the woman who's lying to your face, do it. If you're sitting in silence, hoping things will magically get better, they won't. And if you think staying will earn you some badge of honor, it won't. You'll just be one more ghost in your own home. Leave. Heal. Reclaim your life. Because you deserve more than betrayal in a silk robe. And because sometimes, a single text message, get up and leave, now, can be the wake-up call you never knew you needed.